Capitol Grounds and Arboretum is an amazing place. The history, the beauty, and the people that work together to preserve this awe-inspiring landscape make Capitol Grounds and Arboretum truly amazing at every aspect. The architect of the Capitol is responsible for the management of nearly 300 acres of land on Capitol Hill. And it's more than just the area right around the Capitol building itself. That is the heart of Capitol Grounds and Arboretum, but it is much more. We're responsible for over 4,500 trees. We're responsible for the seasonal landscape care. We're responsible for the maintenance of all the walkways, the parking lots, the roads. We have parks, we have fountains, water features. We're responsible for the care and maintenance of memorials, the snow removal, and we're also responsible for all the mechanics that go on to make up and keep things working. And all this is in an effort to ensure that Congress can continue their mission and that they can continue their work in supporting the American people. So it's our pleasure that the Capitol Grounds and Arboretum staff are able to serve, preserve, and inspire folks from around the world at the seat of democracy. At the heart of the Capitol Grounds is what is called Capitol Square, and that's the 58-acre piece of land that the Capitol building itself sits on. In 1874, Frederick Law Olmsted started the design for Capitol Square. And the thing that sets Capitol Square and Frederick Law Olmsted's design apart from all the other designs he had done is that it's not officially a park. Capitol Square and the design that Frederick Law Olmsted made was very purposely designed so that the landscape is second to the building. The building, the Capitol building, is the central focus. And his design was laid out so that people gently walk up the hill and are open to these grand views, very purposely placed views, where the visitor or the person coming to do business gets a glimpse of the building and then is just struck by the beauty of the architecture of the building. But that's not to say that the landscape is completely second. It's very purposeful in the size of the plants that were used, the species selection with the texture of the leaves, and then also the lack of color, because the intent was to not distract the visitor by colorful plants. They want to draw the eye to the building. So through the years, the landscape has changed vastly, and part of our job at Capitol Grounds and Arboretum is to restore the landscape and preserve what's left of it to the intent of what Frederick Law Olmsted would have wanted. And what we do with that is we're in the process now of renovating and restoring part of the original landscape to the Capitol building itself. And Chris Vedic, our Deputy Director of Capitol Grounds and Arboretum, is going to take us around and demonstrate how we start to restore the landscape. Additionally, stonework and masonry items were a very huge part of Olmsted's original design. Formally laid out walls, very detailed walls, and even a summer house that has detailed brickwork were all part of Olmsted's design. We're lucky enough to have a team of masons that will work on everything from routine maintenance to keep our basic sidewalks and driveways operable and safe for visitors as well as members, but also work on the historic preservation of Olmsted's hardscapes, as well as many of the monuments and memorials that are around our campus.
So recently, starting last year, we renovated the area, specifically the south terrace wall, landscape portion of that project. Took basically all the plantings back to ground zero due to over decades of growth and a mix of plantings that were added to the site. Totally came to a state that where the wall was hardly even visible from most of its prominent area, which really is from about 6 feet from the grade up to the top of the terrace cap. Doing some research, we did some of the original designs and took out the plant list and brought it back to its original intent. So small trees, shrubs, mostly evergreen type of woody shrubs in nature, a few small flowering ornamental shrubs. And the idea was to keep the prominence of the terrace walls with low plantings with some evergreens and deciduous characteristics that show the prominence of the wall and can keep the original intent with the whole campus landscape design subsidiary to the terrace walls and certainly, of course, to the Capitol building structure. A major purpose in part of the Capitol grounds and Arboretum's mission is preserving the purpose and the mission and design of Frederick Law Olmsted and his impact on the U.S. Capitol grounds, which involves all of his beautiful architectural and hardscape features, as well as the living assets with the large tree collections and layouts that further enhance and provides support in a subsidiary manner to the beautiful Capitol building complex. Serve, preserve, and inspire. Well, we definitely serve to keep his intent permanent and ongoing for future generations. We further preserve the beautiful architectural assets of the walls, the urns, the lanterns, the structures like the summer house, the walks that he created, and inspire. So as time evolves and conditions change, additional challenges come up. So we've had to deal with different preservation aspects that we reach out and we study and consult with other folks. Climatic conditions have caused us to reassess and evaluate and finding ways that where we meet some challenges or negative impacts with changes of preserving and keeping the Olmsted legacy alive on the Capitol grounds complex.
When you're walking on campus, being a marble and stonemason, it's the most amazing feeling that you could have walking out there with stone that's over 100 years old. The best thing we can do is keep it exactly the way it was. We get tasks every day on campus, whether it's concrete, brick, stonework, removing stains, whatever it takes. That we've got to be so widely ranged to know so much and actually be good at it, to perform something that, that every day that you can bring your family and relatives to see, and you're a part of something that's so beautiful, and it's been like this for so long, and you continue it. One of the most rewarding jobs I had on this campus was the Grant Memorial. To turn that thing around, it was amazing. I mean, we removed things, we reset, we cleaned, we redid the whole top, and standing there with all that beautifully finished and looking at the west front of the Capitol is just one awesome view. The feeling you have to have, and it's a quote I have from my father that was also a marble and stonemason, was, you set stone with your hands and your heart, and that's the bottom line. If you don't have that, you cannot continue, especially on the Capitol grounds and Arboretum.
Here at Capitol grounds and Arboretum, gardening and horticulture is a vast majority of our work. We have more than half of our staff, approximately 35 people, are devoted to the gardening section. And with that, we're able to really have a lot of talented people that maintain the grounds, not just on Capitol Square, but also at the surrounding office buildings that support all the members of Congress, both on the House of Representatives side and the Senate side. We have Lawrence Winston, who is one of our assistant supervisors who works with the Senate gardening crew with us, and he's going to be able to talk more about what he does on the Senate grounds itself. With the Senate gardening section, it's more than just taking care of just the grounds right around the building itself too. There's also a vast amount of open park space that was purposely left open so that people can relax and get the real benefits of public gardening and public open space. But it's also maintaining what's new. We're fortunate enough now to come to the final restoration process of a large part of Senate Parks that goes back to the 1930s. And with that is a large water feature, a very manicured and detailed open landscape plan. And that is what is left to be charged by our Senate gardening crew.
With the Senate Park restoration being nearly complete, it is and has been one of the focal points for the Capitol. It's one of the main vistas that a lot of people enjoy. They come here just, I guess, to see one of those views. A lot of people take pictures of it. So our job is to, I guess, continue making it look as good as it can, especially with it being brand new. We have to keep up that appearance. And to keep my guys, my crew motivated, they know that this is one of the premier landscapes in this country, in our opinion. So we have to keep it at its peak at all times. And they understand that, and that's part of their motivation, as well as mine. Capitol grounds, the Senate crew, we have to make sure that at all times the site looks presentable, because people come from all over the world to look at the Capitol, to view the Capitol, and they come through our parks to enjoy the Capitol, and we want to make our vista create that wow effect. We want to be sure that they enjoy what they see. They have a breathtaking view at all times, and it doesn't matter what season it is, we want to make that vision possible. I'm most proud of my crew. My crew is very hardworking, dedicated, and they all seem to love working here as well. In my estimation, working at the Capitol is the pinnacle of grounds maintenance. This is the most important building, area, site, campus in the United States at least.
Horticulture and professional grounds management is more than just Capitol grounds and Arboretum here at the Architect of the Capitol. It also has the United States Botanic Garden, the United States Supreme Court, and the Library of Congress. And those are just 3 other huge jurisdictions that make up the Architect of the Capitol, and they all have a very detailed part of horticulture responsibility. The United States Botanic Garden is very key on their mission of providing the importance of plants to people. And their professional grounds managers, their horticulturists, their gardeners work to not only preserve the exterior landscapes, but also have a collection of living historic assets. The Library of Congress is able to preserve their grounds and work their horticulture to not only provide a pleasant backdrop for the visitors and the business that goes on at the Library of Congress, but also to support a bit of the exhibits that may be going on at the Library of Congress. And finally, the United States Supreme Court gardening team provides just this most serene and beautiful backdrop for the justices of the United States Supreme Court. Very formal gardens, high attention to detail. All those aspects of that work are combined to be able to provide a very formal and pleasant backdrop in a very serene setting for the United States Supreme Court.
There are many unique things about working at the United States Botanic Garden. For instance, our location is incredibly unique. We're at the foot of the Capitol building. We have probably hundreds of thousands of visitors a year that come to Washington, D.C. To visit our nation's capital, but of course to see the incredible plants that we have on display in our collections. We get to meet people from all over the world, all over the country. So we're interacting with many different kinds of people. There's just, everything is so unique about where we are and what we do. From the plants that we get to grow, we try plants from all over the country, all over the world that we're trying to test and grow. And that just really makes our garden so unique and special. My role for the Botanic Garden, I oversee approximately 7 gardeners, and we take care of all the outdoor collections. We maintain outdoor displays. So I organize projects, I get the team going and motivated each day we have tasks that need to be completed. We do designs for the outdoors. So really my role for the Botanic Garden, it's really very, very diverse. From interactions with the public, it could be obviously interacting with all my gardeners, and even our education department. We're also promoting educational programs through our plants. So really, my role is ever-changing every day. The kitchen garden that is within Bartoli Park and Gardens, we grow an incredible amount of food. In fact, the other day we just harvested 58 pounds of beets. And I believe we also had a harvest pool of 74 pounds of cabbage. So it's incredible about what the produce that we pull out of the garden, and then it can support many, many food banks in DC. So it's awesome that we can do such a thing. And the gardening skill that it takes to maintain it, I mean, we've just got some super dedicated gardeners, and it's an awesome thing that we can do, and we can showcase here of what we can grow in DC. We get to bring our enthusiasm about plants to the public. We will do plant tours, we conduct classes and workshops, so we really can get the general public very excited about whether it's plant conservation, sustainability, and what they can do to foster that environmental stewardship. So we get so excited about, whenever we find some new cool plant that we can grow. It's very exciting that we can then show it off to the public, and we can show off all these cool things about it, or even where it comes from, whether it comes from Southeast Asia or from the Amazon rainforest. So many of these things just get all of us really excited, and we all just have a passion for plants at the Botanic Garden, and we get to bring that to the people.
The Library of Congress is the largest library in the world, and our mission is to support their mission, which is to educate and research and to assist Congress in legislation. So we're the first impression that people get, and people come from all over the world to research at the Library of Congress. And our job is just to support whatever they're doing, especially in educational outreach, and make sure that the grounds are immaculate and that the visitors always have a good impression when they come and go. Our maintenance area includes the library, which is situated on 3 city blocks. And on those blocks, we do the full gamut from cleaning the litter and debris every day to maintaining the cleanliness of the site, turf management, installation of ornamental planting and seasonal designs, as well as any of the educational beds or any of the educational exhibits that we put on there. We also do snow removal in the winter and special events for the library staff, such as movie nights, which they have on the lawn during the summer, and any other support that they may need. Well, one of the most exciting things that we do as ground maintenance is enabling the library's effort for community outreach. And it's really nice when our exhibits can line up with what they're doing. For instance, a couple of years ago, we were able to plant a World War I victory garden, and it was a big hit with the public. They were able to come in and see the old victory gardens. And a lot of the visitors to the site told us that they went home and replicated what we did. Some of the more enjoyable aspects of working at the Library of Congress is being able to interact with the visitors that are from all over the world. While we're working, they ask a lot of questions of what we're doing, what we're planting, how to maintain it, but it's always enjoyable just to be able to interact with people. We're also proud of our grounds, and a lot of people say that our grounds are the best around. And we take being gardeners at the Capitol seriously and have a lot of pride in that.
Another part of grounds management here at the Capitol is extensive turf grass management. Here we have a wide extent of turf varieties and the management techniques that we have to utilize to keep our grass looking good year-round. And it's a challenge. Of course, the Capitol sees a lot of events throughout the year. All that wear and tear takes a lot of toll on the turf. And we have to be able to support all the events that are on our campus. We have to do it in a way where we do not impede any of the events, and we still have to provide a very healthy turf so that it's aesthetically pleasing and is also sustainable to a point where it can tolerate the amount of compaction and the abuse that is often seen through many of the events that occur in and around the Capitol campus. Mike Noss is our turfgrass manager. He's going to explain a little bit more about our program with turfgrass management at the Architect of the Capitol.
So one of the turf management strategies we've put in place is Bermuda grass. Bermuda grass is a rhizomatous grass that recovers very quickly. Cool season grasses can't recover quite as fast as Bermuda grass can. So when we have events, it can handle compaction, it can handle heat, it can handle a lot of the traffic and wear and tear that pedestrians bring to Capitol grounds. So on Capitol grounds, we plan on interseeding hybrid bluegrass in the fall time. The reason why we're interseeding hybrid bluegrass is because we want year-round color. Kentucky bluegrass or hybrid bluegrass is a rhizomatous grass just like Bermuda grass, and during times of stress, one or the other can recover. So during the fall time, if there's an event that happens and it damages the grounds, the Kentucky bluegrass can fill in. If there's an event during the middle of the summer and damage is happening, Bermuda grass can fill in. Instead of overseeding, we're using that grass that's already existing there. So this can help us recover very quickly, and hopefully in the future we can get to this point where we are a sustainable environment where we can just recover. We don't have to keep throwing products out at it. We don't have to keep throwing water at it. We don't have to keep throwing tools at it. We can just fix it where it is. So one of the coolest things here is that we're almost kind of starting over constantly. It's basically like a construction project, but because there's so much damage going on to the grounds, that we're restarting, and it's basically a project that we keep doing over and over and over again. So it's one of the reasons why we put Bermuda grass in there, and to be able to put Bermuda grass on the grounds and to see it get damaged and being able to get it to recover the way you want it to get to recover is a pretty satisfying thing. So you see something get damaged and you can see it recover, and you have the ability to get it there. One thing I'm proud of is being able to fix the turf around one of the most powerful buildings in the world. Seeing all the damage that happens, all the foot traffic that happens, all the compaction that happens, and that I have the ability to fix that, get it looking right, and get it to where it needs to be very quickly.
So Capitol Grounds and Arboretum is, of course, also an accredited arboretum, and currently we have over 4,500 trees, all in an ordered collection that is managed and maintained through our urban forester. Our urban forester, Melissa Westbrook, is in charge of managing the Arboretum data, the programs around it, and being able to consistently maintain the inventory. Hand in hand with The Arboretum management is the day-to-day and the long-term tree care that's performed by our team of arborists and led by Rick Prince. Together, we're able to maintain a healthy collection of over 4,500 trees, some of them dating back to the 1840s. Our collection of trees contains historic trees, memorial trees, trees that were dedicated for very special events by a member of Congress. Our collection also supports a vast array of wildlife along with a healthy urban forest.
Capitol Grounds and Arboretum is perhaps a unique type of urban forest. It is, of course, a smaller parcel in the larger urban forests of the DC area, but there are things about the Capitol Grounds and Arboretum that make it a little different, a little more special than simply being a municipal urban forest or another type of public park. And those have mainly to do with the fact that this is the US Capitol. So there's a lot of things that we have to consider when we're going about managing the urban forest here. First and foremost, this is a cultural landscape. The buildings here are part of a historic cultural landscape that require a lot of attention to the types of details and management that we do. So for example, all of the grounds should be maintained in a way that preserve the historic character of the original design intent. So it can be things as complex as managing view sheds, or things as simple as knowing exactly which tree gets planted in exactly the right place so that we're preserving that historic intent. Those are things that we have to consider when we're managing the urban forest here. Other things that make this a unique environment are that the Capitol receives millions of visitors every year, and we want them to have not only a safe but also enjoyable experience. So we want the grounds to be beautiful. We want them to have a real sense of wow and understand the sense of place about where they actually are. It is the entrance to the seat of our government and the ideals of American democracy. Taking care of an arboretum in such a significant space with a lot of history and a lot of intention in the way the landscape was designed it's a massive responsibility, and really, frankly, awe-inspiring. I get to come to work in a space that not only the people that I work with care very deeply about the work that we do, but the public does. I mean, we are situated not only in a local community where people, really hold a stake in having accessible green space in their backyard, which is really what the Arboretum is, but it's a symbol for a lot of Americans about what democracy is, and to be a part of maintaining that and preserving that is a really special responsibility that I take a lot of pride in.
The arborists at the Capitol Grounds and Arboretum are responsible for the health and maintenance of all the trees on Capitol Grounds campus. That includes the Capitol Square, the different parks, even parking lots and street trees. Most of the historic trees are on the Capitol Square, and there's a lot of memorial trees. Some of them have been here for quite a long time. I've been here for quite a long time, so I've seen a lot of them fail and have to be removed, which is always kind of heart-wrenching. You hate to see these old trees eventually have to be removed. But we do our best to preserve them and care for them, so that doesn't happen as often as it might. Storms come along and will damage old trees, and then for safety reasons we'll have to remove them. We replant on a regular basis. We replant in the spring and the fall, so when a tree does have to be removed. It will eventually be replaced. Of course, you start over, but that's the nature of things. So every year, the Capitol Christmas tree is selected and it's harvested and sent to us. When it arrives on a flatbed truck, we have to erect it, basically stand it up. It goes into a 4-foot hole on the west front, and it's anchored down to anchors that were put in place back in the 60s. And then we decorate it. We have to fill in with some limbs usually, because there tends to be broken limbs, and it's a pretty good sized project. It takes about a week to have it fully decorated and put the lights on it and light it. And we have to be ready for the lighting ceremony, which is already scheduled, so it has to be done come rain or shine or snowstorms. When I first came here, I was in awe of the building. I was born in Washington, D.C., but I don't think I'd ever seen the Capitol until I came to work here. And I just remember looking at the building and just thinking how magnificent it was. It's just such a beautiful building, and I'm totally in awe of it. And I still am, when I'm on the grounds and look up to it. It never gets old, even though I've been here 37 years. So working these trees, I mean, that's the backdrop of what we do all the time. And I don't climb anymore, but when I did climb trees, you'd have great views of the building just by being up in the air, and you can just see how the grounds are laid out. You can see all the walks from, if you're 100 feet in the air or 80 feet or something like that. You can and see all the people that have come to visit. It does give you, it kind of can give you chills just to take a look, particularly on a beautiful day. And you look off and you can see the Washington Monument, you see the Capitol Dome from such a great vantage point.
We've seen what it takes to manage the open space of the Capitol grounds, but of course there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. It's the stuff that keeps us running, keeps all the gardeners working, keeps the arborists working, and all that to make that happen is a full support team. And part of that is something that as grounds managers we're very familiar with, is irrigation. So we have a team of plumbers that are able to manage anything from simple irrigation fixes and repairs and adjustments to maintaining up to 12-inch water mains, that some of them date back close to 1930. So it's an impressive skill set that we have to be able to maintain the historic plumbing, as well as the water features, a 6-acre reflecting pool, newly renovated water features, and then water features that go back to Olmsted's era of 1870 or even earlier. Capitol Grounds and Arboretum also has a fleet of mechanics to be able to service all the needs of the rest of the jurisdiction. So whether that's maintaining a small engine on a string trimmer, to maintaining a front end loader and all the other associated heavy equipment needs, our mechanics are consistently working to provide a full range of support activities to keep the crews moving, to keep us safe, and allowing the entire jurisdiction to support the mission of the architect of the Capitol and allow Congress to continue their work. Grounds management at the architect of the Capitol is much more than just managing the landscape simply at the Capitol. It's a holistic effect, and it's across the agency, and it takes a full team of professional grounds managers to be able to serve, preserve, and inspire. The most unique thing about being able to work for the architect of the Capitol and Capitol Grounds of Arboretum is being able to work with the people that support our crews, the people that are the experts in their field, the people that manage our grounds on a day-to-day basis, whether that's plumbing, masonry, horticulture, mechanics, whatever the case may be, whatever the specialty is. The people behind the scenes, they are the key to the success of the agency and being able to serve, preserve, and inspire people from around the world.